How are you? Sorry about that. I was a little trouble with my computer tonight. I gotta tell you, I'm doing something on alone tonight, so I'm having help with the questions, but it's to be on my phone a little bit. So bear with me as I learn something new once again. Tonight we are honored to present Kimberley Woodhouse. She writes these beautiful, sprawling westerns that just take you to places that in history that we haven't been before, whether they're in Montana or Alaska, the Grand Canyon, as we went this time. So we are glad to have Kimberley with us, and we can talk all kinds of fun things about books and research and the Grand Canyon. Hi, Kim. How are you? I shouldn't say Kim. It's Kimberly. I'm sorry.
You can call me Kim.
Okay. I don't know why suddenly I started doing that. So, but thank you for joining us tonight.
Thanks so much for having me. I love Baker Bookhouse. Love, love, love Baker Bookhouse.
Well, thank you. And we love you. So,
yay.
Yay. So, and I'm going to do a quick plug here. You're going to be here in May. So for those that don't know, for Fiction Reader Summit. So anybody that would like to meet her, look for details coming soon. So tell us a little bit about A Deep Divide, which I thoroughly enjoyed.
I'm so glad that you liked it. That means a great deal to me because I know how picky you are about books, which is great in your position. A Deep Divide is the first in a series, Secrets of the Canyon, takes place in the Grand Canyon, historic Harvey Hotel, which is the El Tovar, and it has Harvey girls, which are fascinating to me. I just love everything that Fred Harvey instituted and what he did with the restaurant business and the service industry and everything is just so fascinating to me. And it all started. Do you want to hear this?
I do. And you know what? I'm going to interrupt you because I got to tell you, the Harvey girls fascinate me too.
Yeah.
So.
This all started, well, the idea started on one of my trips to the Grand Canyon, and I went when I think it was 2008, 2009. My kids were still teenagers, and we're just having a ball and having so much fun. And they're laughing at me because I kept asking weird questions, to the rangers. And, there was a couple times Josh was like, Mom, rolling his eyes. And then I asked, I got bold at one point. And I was like, so how many people die in the Grand Canyon every year? And he goes, we just happen to have a book on that. And it's called Death in the Grand Canyon. I have it on my shelf now. And so this is how all of this happened. I mean, there's some really hilarious stories. That sounds really bad. I'm sorry. That sounds bad. Hilarious stories of how people died. Oh gosh. And this is recording. I'm so terrible. But that's how it started was, these questions and things were simmering in my mind. And I went to the El Tovar, which is still there today. It's fabulous. I would recommend for anybody to go there, go eat. Oh, it's so yummy. But it was just so interesting to me to think, okay, in 1905, they did this. And it was so remote back then, and where they had to live and what they had to do. And just, they shipped water 120 miles. They hauled it 120 miles until, when was it? 1932, I think it was 1932. They had to haul water in to the Grand Canyon. So that's how it all started, how this one started simmering in my brain. And I've loved the Harvey girls ever since seeing the movie Harvey Girls with Judy Garland, and then Tracy Peterson's Harvey Girls series that she wrote for Bethany House years ago, one of my favorites. And I just had to do it. I loved it.
Awesome. Awesome. I love that. So, you know what, while we're on the subject of the Harvey girls, my knowledge of them basically comes from reading, like you said, Tracy's series, your book, and there are other ones. There's numerous different ones that, of course, I couldn't think of a title now to tell, save my life. But and they have always fascinated me because, for reasons you mentioned, the Harvey family. So tell us a little bit about your research, but what was required of a Harvey girl to be one?
I wouldn't make it as a Harvey girl. I will just tell you that right now. I would not. Um, they were absolutely amazing how they were trained and what their skill, and I try to describe it in the book because they had to pour water without a drop going all the way around the table. They had to pour coffee without a drop. They had to serve perfectly at the stations where the trains stopped just for the meal. People would get off the train, get back on the train, and they had 45 minutes to serve this full course meal, which was amazing. And Fred Harvey was immaculate. He had these really high standards. So like for dessert, he served a quarter of a piece of pie. That was a piece of pie, was a quarter of a pie, which is just fascinating to me. And so he had the standards that we use today, in fact, in branding, marketing, and all of the restaurant industry. Everything's based off of what Fred Harvey did and his customer service and how he did things. The Harvey girls had to live by a very high moral code. They had a curfew. They signed contracts to work,
Really?
but a big majority of them ended up getting married before their contract was fulfilled because Fred Harvey also did another thing. He basically settled the West because he brought all of these women out here to work as Harvey girls, and they married. And that was how so many people got out into the West, which was it's just fascinating. The whole thing behind it is fascinating. So I did months of research just into Fred Harvey and his history. And then I did months of research just into the Harvey girls, and then had to do, a month or so of research just into El Tavar, which was the crown jewel of the Harvey empire at the time. And that was the point. They wanted to, get all of the kings and queens and all of the royal people to come, plus all of the wealthy people, to come in and spend their money and to come see the Grand Canyon, and to tell all of their rich friends, to come visit and to come do this. So Becca Whittam, I don't know if she's on here. She said she might come on. I'm waving at Becca Whittam. She's also an author. You should check out her books. But she went with me last year on my trip, since I was getting ready to write this series, to start writing this series. And she went with me, and we had the best time in the Grand Canyon and in the dining room. I just have to say, we ate so much good food. So much good food.
That's what trips are all about. And good food.
Great.
That's just details. There's a big hole in the ground too, but this food is really good.
Yeah. But see, that's funny that you said a big hole in the ground. My husband,
Oh no.
every time I've wanted to go to the Grand Canyon and he's with me, if we're driving somewhere else, the shortest point between, what is it? The shortest line between 2 points is a straight line, whatever it is. I don't know what he says. I'm like, oh, look, a sign for something historic. Let's go over here, And so I said, don't you want to see the Grand Canyon? And he goes, it's a big hole in the ground.
Oh, he doesn't know he's missing. By the way, Becca says she's here. So
Becca says she's here.
yeah.
Becca, I didn't see that. My friend Becca Whittam.
Glad she could join us tonight. I also saw a good question here, because it was one I was going to ask. Are there Harvey girls today?
No.
No, I didn't think so.
Not anymore.
Yeah. Do you know when in your research, when that started like fading away?
Into the 50s.
Really?
Into the 50s, they were still. Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? And I thought it was maybe it was in your author notes. I hope I'm not giving anything away, but where it kind of changed the opportunity for women job-wise even.
Mm-hmm.
I thought
it did. It totally made it a nice and clean and good thing for women to work, because it kind of had a bad reputation if you were a working woman before. Sometimes it didn't have the greatest, connotation. I won't go any further than that, but it was really great for women to have this. It was prestigious. It was something that they could brag about. It was really cool for them to say, yes, I work for Harvey. I am a Harvey girl. And it's funny because a lot of these women came from, lower class, didn't have a lot of money, and they're working, and they ended up marrying some very, very wealthy men and settling in the West. So there's a lot of cool history, Cool history.
Huh. I have to do some research on that. That just sounds so interesting to me.
Yeah.
So, and I like the idea that there was that opportunity, because I always think that that was best that I was not raised back then, because, you know, you were married or a teacher, and not that married, you know, I'm obviously married and have children too, but, you know, teaching is not my gift. Um, Whereas, you know, the Harvey girls suddenly said, no, there's other things that you can do, and do it well. And like you said, honorably. So,
Yeah, the ads that they had for the Harvey girls were fascinating, and there's different iterations of them, but reading the different ads along the different time periods and how they got, you know, the women to sign up for it was really fascinating. When Becca and I went to the Grand Canyon, they have a great museum, you know, next to El Tovar, and it's really cool because they have actually one of the uniforms with the long black dress and then the long white apron over the top of it, from the original, you know, Harvey girls, turn of the century when this was happening. And Becca helped me find just some of the coolest stuff, but I'm totally on a rabbit trail. Squirrel, watch out.
that's all right. We love rabbit trails on this thing.
We went to my favorite story, and you'll have to check out my website and my blog, because I will be posting more stuff from when Becca and I did research in this. But
Awesome.
we went to the watchtower, which is 30 miles, you know, at the far end of the actual section that you can, you know, all the tourist points you can see. And I'm FaceTiming my parents, who are almost 80, you know, at the time, and because they've never seen the Grand Canyon, and my dad had just had heart surgery, and, you know, I wanted them to see it, and they're so cute, and we're FaceTiming, and I'm showing them, you know, I'm holding up the phone so they can see the canyon, and we're high up on this thing, and my mom goes, "Don't fall in." And everybody hears. It's so funny. We got so many laughs from that. And this one guy next to me, he goes, "You never stop being a mom, do you?" And I said, "Nope." But that is still my favorite. Don't fall in. So I always tell people, don't fall in.
I got so excited, I threw my questions on the ground. I love that story. That is so cute. Oh, you have to give your mom a hug for me. Thank you. That was a good laugh. So then somebody, let me see if I can find it back. They wanted to know if they were required to memorize the patrons' orders, like, you know, in your book. Yeah, that's probably, I might have been able to do everything else, but memorizing the order was pretty much going to get rid of me.
And they had to know everything that was on the menu. And the chefs back then were very much into, especially like a place like El Tovar, where it was the crown jewel. That chef was very prestigious, and he's very high, and it was very cool, you know, for him to create specific dishes that were unique just to the El Tovar. So there is a Harvey Girls cookbook, you know, that I have doing research, and it's fun seeing the different locations where different dishes, you know, were served. One of the dishes that we tried at El Tovar when Becca and I went was the beef stroganoff. So amazing. And they've been serving that. It has been a historic dish at El Tovar for 100 and something years, which is really, really cool. But so if the chef decided, you know, us creative people, we're weird. We just are. And chefs are creative, and you could say, you know, think of him coming up with something new, and he's going to rattle off this big, long description that then they have to be able to tell all of the people, oh, and by the way, this is the chef's special tonight. And they have to give the description. So they had to memorize everything, memorize their tables, and everything had a position. Everything was specific. And it was just amazing what they had to do day in and day out, and in a short amount of time, especially if they worked on the stations that had the trains that stopped and left.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. So I could talk this all night. Now, I know one question, and people always ask it about research, is, was there something that was just really surprising that you found in your research? Now, whether it's the Harvey Girls or any of the other research you did, and did you add it to the book?
Yes. There are some interesting things that I always find in research, the little nuggets, you know, that you just like, oh, I have to put that, you know, in the book somewhere. But I can't give away something that I found on Deep Divide, because it might give away part of the story.
Okay. We'll
But like on Bridge of Gold that came out in June.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
it was fascinating to me, studying the diving. And
Yeah,
I didn't know that the Golden Gate Strait, that the Golden Gate Bridge goes
yep,
over, how turbulent the waters are when the shelf drops off. So below
sure.
100 feet, and it's these violent waters. And so when you find out what the divers did in 1933, building this bridge, and they didn't have modern scuba equipment back then. So just the helmets were like 50 pounds. And with the hose, coming out the head, and the hose goes to the surface. So your air's coming to the surface. And I'm thinking, I'm going to trust my air to come from this. I don't know. I don't know if I trust you to, make sure I'm getting air down here. It floored me, researching diving. So then all of my readers were like, well, did you dive? Nope.
Not even close. I got my face wet in the pool.
After I read, like accounts and diaries of these guys, yeah, nope, not me.
Yeah, there was well, here's a rabbit trail for you. There was a
Okay.
Mythbusters where they showed that old scuba diving outfit when it becomes depressurized incorrectly and what happens to the diver. Yeah, we're not getting under the water ever. Look it up sometime. It's disturbing.
Okay.
Don't eat and then watch it. Okay.
I'm glad I didn't find that one. Glad I didn't find that one. But San Francisco it just has amazing history. I've written, the Golden Bride takes place there.
Yeah.
And that's another fun one. I did not realize that half of San Francisco, well, maybe not half, a good portion of San Francisco is built on landfill. They have actually expanded the borders of the peninsula using ships from 1849, because all these ships came in for the gold rush, and then captains and crews just abandoned everything. So they used the ships to build stuff and everything. And there's a really cool map that I blogged about several times, and I've put it up there, that shows where there's still ships from 1849 that are underneath the streets of San Francisco.
See, this is the history they should be teaching.
Yes. Yes. I agree. It's so much fun.
Yeah. So, you know what, we're going to wander. I got a question here. See,
Okay.
I get to use my phone, which
Go ahead.
I'm not very good at this, by the way, but there's one that was sent in. Did you know about the Kayla brothers before the trip?
The Kolb brothers.
Oh, sorry. Yes, there's not that
Kolb
many
brothers.
syllables in that word. I can read. Did you know that?
Actually, I did. I have to show you this. That you mentioned it. I keep this beside my desk because I'm writing book 2 right now.
Okay.
I'm finishing that one up right now. But this is a picture of, these are the actual Kolb brothers. Can you see that?
Oh my gosh.
This is one of their photos.
Well, who's on the camera?
They
I
actually
admire that guy even more.
They staged a camera over here while they took this picture of, another brother going down with the camera. I took the glass off so it wouldn't glare, but it's still glaring a little bit.
No, it's perfect. I can see it very well. That is amazing.
They were fascinating. So on this last trip, I did spend a whole lot more time in their actual studio, and they built their house on, El Tovar is basically on the rim. I mean, you can walk around the building and be on the rim right there, but you're like 20 yards from the actual edge of the Grand Canyon. Whereas the Kolb brothers built their house on what was called at that point an eyebrow ledge. So it is on the edge, and there's some braces, going down on some rocks underneath it. But there's a picture of them with one of them that got married and had a little girl, and the little girl's just, running around and doing all this on the balcony of the house that's hanging over the edge of the canyon. They were just wild and adventurous and crazy, and they did so many cool things to take pictures. You can look up some of their amazing pictures that are online. So I knew about them, and that's why I wanted to add them in the story. But this last year, I guess it's been almost 2 years now when we went back, and I did some more research there and just talked to some great historians. and got some more books on them. I thought, okay, these guys have got to be in these books because they're crazy and they're hysterical. They were so much fun.
They were very, very interesting. So, oh, somebody wants to know, how many times have you been to the Grand Canyon? Boy, whoever asked that stumped you completely.
Getting old. 3 or 4 times now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've only been once. So.
Okay. 2 specifically that were, well, the first one with my kids as teenagers.
Okay.
I said that it was specifically because I wanted to write some books there. I just didn't know what. And then this last year, when Becca and I went, this was totally specifically for the books because I was about to write them.
Okay, that makes sense. And then Jamie Jo, for whatever reason she wants to know, did you ever get an answer to how many people died in the Grand Canyon every year?
Yes, and it's a lot.
Okay.
It's a lot of people who die every year.
Is it like people that get lost? Do you know? I mean, I don't. I mean, I was there once and we walked down for a little while and then walking back up, I was pretty sure I was going to die. Now, obviously I didn't. Or is it, do they fall off the edge? I don't know.
There are so many stories. Again, the book might even be behind me. It's called Death in the Grand Canyon, or Death in Grand Canyon.
Okay.
And it's been out for several years, so I'm sure it's been updated since then. But I don't know if this is inappropriate or not. But there was one story.
We'll bleep you out later.
There was one lady, and I think she was a movie star, and they were doing some kind of a photo shoot, and she got a little adventurous and she fell off and lost her shirt. And they had to rescue her out of the canyon. And I just thought, how embarrassing. I would never show my face ever again. Ever again. But a lot of people fall in, a lot of people get lost. I think there are probably a good deal of suicides, that's just very sad.
Right.
But and there's also murder.
Oh, you should write a book about that.
There just might be some in these series. I'm good at killing people in books. My husband says I'm really good at killing people. So not in real life. I promise.
Yeah, the FBI is listening. They'll be at your door tomorrow. So, somebody does, and you know what? I should have asked this. This is the standalone, or are we gonna a standalone in the series, or are they gonna follow the same characters?
They're technically standalone, where you don't have to read the other books to be able to keep going, but there are characters that go through all 3.
Okay.
So like Ruth, who is the head waitress in book 1. I've had so many readers already tell me how much they love Ruth. Well, Ruth is actually the heroine of book 3. So people are excited about that. But you can technically read them out of order or whatever. 1905, 1907, 1909 is basically the timeline.
Okay. And that makes sense. So, yay. Okay, when is book 3 coming up?
Okay, so book 2 comes out in September, and then book 3 comes out in the following January.
Oh, so
we sped up the process
so
that they could come out quicker.
Awesome. And who's book 2 about? Can you share? I mean, if you can't, that's fine. We understand. But
okay, so book 2, I'm really excited about this character. Her name is Julia. And I don't know, I invited this person. She was my best friend in elementary school, and her name is Julie Schultz. And so in book 2, it's Julia Schultz. And she's just a fun character. I won't tell you her backstory because it plays a huge part in the story. And it's really pretty fascinating, but she's a storyteller, which means she's good at lying.
Oh, I was thinking like bookstore.
Yeah. But
Okay.
she loves to tell stories, to get people's attention. And so she has quite a growth throughout the book. She's a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun with her.
Well, good. I look forward to reading that. Are they all going to be are they, are they going to mostly be centered around the Harvey girls then too? Or are you kind of doing a little bit of everything?
All the heroines are Harvey girls.
Okay.
In the series.
I'm glad you knew what I meant because I'm not sure I knew what I meant.
I knew exactly what you meant. I totally forgot. We need to do a giveaway.
Oh, we do. Oh, okay.
Hold on. Wait, hold on. I have questions. This is for a gift card, and we're going to do several of these throughout. So we'll have to do a bunch here.
Yep.
See, I have two screens so I can keep track of all of this, and yet I can't keep track of all of this. This is really sad. Okay.
I totally forgot too. I'm sorry about that.
Okay. So since we've been talking about a deep divide, the first question is going to be about a deep divide. So I'm going to ask you a specific question about one of my books, and there will be a winner on Facebook and there will be a winner here on the Zoom chat. So we're going to pick two winners. So the first question is from a deep divide. If you've read it, I know it's not out yet, but a bunch of you have gotten copies of it. What does Emma Grace do to disguise herself? And if you want to know why she disguises herself, you need to read the book. Buy it from Baker Bookhouse. They have a really great sale going on right now.
Do bakerbookhouse.com. Brilliant. Oh, it looks like we're getting answers already. So
yay.
Oh, there we go. Oh, good luck finding out which one was first.
Yeah. Okay. Lisa had asked, do chickens come into the book?
I saw that. Do they?
He's going to come into play maybe a little bit later as well. So there are, if you want chickens, make sure that you are reading my series with Tracy from Bethany House. The Treasures of Gnome, Forever Hidden is book 1, Endless Mercy is book 2, and Ever Constant is about to come out in January. The final in the series, it's about 3 amazing redheaded musical sisters. And there's chickens, and there's sheep, and there's cows, and there's dogs.
Of course. And they have beautiful covers.
They do.
Just love those colors. So while we're a little on the topic, and we'll give everybody a little chance to finish answering here on Facebook, is how do you, I mean, you and Tracy have written several series together now. So first of all, how is it writing with Tracy? If you, I mean, I'm not asking for gossip, please. That's not what I'm trying to imply, but.
I love it. She is one of my just dearest friends in the world, and we've known each other a long time. She was actually my mentor for many, many years. It's a long story, but I'm going to do it really fast.
Okay.
I can tell the big long story later, but I am a musician, and this is what I grew up doing. I had a scholarship to Juilliard. I thought I was going to get my doctorate in music. I mean, this was just, music had been my life. My husband says music people are weird. We are all creative people. We're just weird. I mean, just admit it, latch onto it, grasp, realize, yes, embrace the weird, right? But since he said I was weird, I met him my first day of college. And my English professor had made a comment to me that I was a great storyteller. And I was like, wow, that's great. Because, music, this was my focus. Everything was music. And I get married, and we have our first wonderful little baby, Josh, who's now 26. My precious boy. And he was sick a lot as a baby. And so one night, because I loved to read and I loved story. One night in the middle of the night, I'm staying up with the baby, and I just have all this creative juice flowing. All of you other creative people, you know what I'm talking about. And I didn't know what to do with it. So I started writing stories, but I didn't tell anybody because, again, my husband, music people are weird. I didn't want him to think I was, really doing something weird by writing books, So a friend of mine years later, we're moving to Alaska. We're going to the mission field, and she's supposed to be helping me in the other room in the house packing. But she found my stories. I had, stacks of them. And she'd been reading the whole time, stinker. And she comes in with this big ream of paper, this huge stack. And you need a friend like this. Can I just say this, Chris? You need a friend like this. She came in and she whacked me over the head with the papers. And then she threw them in the floor very dramatically and said that I was hiding my light under a bushel. And if I did not do something with it, she was going to kill me. So she threatened my life, and she gave me a year to do something with it. And first, I had to tell my husband I'm writing stories because, it's already really weird. So I thought to get out of it, I would write my favorite author, who was Tracy Peterson. And I thought, she'll never write me back. Nothing will ever come of it, but I can at least say I tried.
I'm gonna go on to being musical. That's perfect.
Yeah. So, Tracy wrote me back.
She blew it.
So,
she didn't know her side of the contract.
No. So years later, all of this has been going. Developed a really great friendship, and we were on the mission field. They had a grandchild who was born with some health issues. We had a daughter with, some health issues. We just connected. We became prayer partners, dear friends. One day she just said, and I was published, and she was always cheering me on, about stuff. And she said, okay, we're going to write together. So, the great Tracy Peterson says something.
Of course.
You do it.
You do not question it.
Oh, it's great though. I mean, we work together so brilliantly. We have a great time together. We really enjoy, we work well together. Nobody can ever tell who wrote what.
Nope.
And people love the stories, and we love writing together. So it's fun. Good.
Well, I hope that relationship happens for a long time yet, because you're right. I read those books, and then either Tracy's or your where you write by yourselves, and it's like, I can't tell the difference. So that's good writing. So I appreciate
thank
that.
you.
So
we love it.
What is the difference, other than, you have to ask, talk back and forth, but what is the biggest difference between writing together or separately? Is it easier, quicker, harder?
We taught a class last week for ACFW about writing together, and some people had asked that same question. And, I don't think either one of us find it harder or easier, just because we have such a good relationship and we work so well together. I know some people that have, had relationships where it's been harder writing together. And then I know some people who actually say it's easier to write together, because then you always have somebody, if you get stuck, there's always somebody to help, get the wheels out of the mud.
Sure, that makes sense.
So we enjoy it so much. It's just great. But we both write, about 4 books a year. And so we write one together, and then ours on our own. And we just have a groove. We're in a good groove. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Interesting. I find it fascinating, when people co-author like that, because I mean, you talk to authors like, well, I do this and this and this, and then you got co-authors. It's like, how do you do that? So it's neat to hear that you guys kind of just do it. It just works. So
we have a good process.
Are you or Tracy the one that does the research, or you kind of do a blend of both?
What we do, and we just talked about this, so everybody knows that this is our system, what we do. She is amazing, and she is the bigger name, obviously. She's got 100 and something, books out there. And so, like, our first book together was my 9th book. So we're on book tour, and people are going, oh, how many books do you have? And I'm like, 9. I can still count them on 2 hands, And she was on book 99, when it was my 9th book. And now she's up to 120 something, and I'm up to 27, So, but we do all of the planning for the entire thing together. We go back and forth, and we'll color code, and we show who does what, so we remember where the ideas came from, and we can flesh stuff out. And then once we have that, that's normally like 40 or 50 pages. And then She will write the long synopsis because she is the queen of synopses. She'll write the long synopsis for the book. Then I will write the whole first draft. So I write the whole book and I'll write it short, like 10, 15,000 words at least short of what it needs to be. And then I send it to her and she puts in her brilliance because she's brilliant. And, she adds in all of her great stuff. And then I do all the edits after that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, I like that.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So somebody did ask if you guys are planning another series, obviously once this one is done. Yes. Can we say?
Yes. Very excited. In fact, it was so funny because I was brushing my teeth and I got these phone calls from Montana and I'm, trying to brush my teeth. We have a series set in Kalispell, which starts next. And all of our books have been January releases for like 9 years, 10 years, however long it's been. And now they're going to start coming out in May, which I really like that. So May, the problem is you have to wait a little bit longer this first year. So Ever Constant comes out in January, and then the following year it comes out in May, the first book in our Kalispell series.
Okay.
And really exciting because we have 3 very cool locations in Kalispell, these historic buildings that have really fun historical things with them. So like the phone calls that I got were from these historians, and we have special tours and appointments and everything in a couple of weeks to go talk to them and get the inside scoop. And they're very excited that we're setting a series there in Kalispell. So that is coming up, and that's around the 1903 era that starts. So that's my next series with Tracy.
Awesome. And I have heard of it. Kalispell, right?
Yes.
Where is that?
It's really close to Glacier National Park.
Okay, that's probably why I've heard of it then. So.
Or Flathead Lake. Like people normally have heard of one or the other.
Yep, Flathead Lake. I've heard of that. In
it's
fact,
really close
as
there.
a kid,
So
I probably was there because we drove all over out west when I was a kid. So
the beautiful area. When we lived in Montana, that was my husband and that was our place where we would go. We would get away to all the time. We love Kalispell. So
awesome.
I need to do another giveaway.
You do.
Okay.
We have more.
I'm actually going to do 2. So this will be four people. Can I do math?
Yes.
4 chances to win. Right? I can't do that. I write books.
There we go.
Okay.
We got 4.
2 questions, and there's a winner on Facebook and a winner on Zoom. So that's 4. Okay. This is from Bridge of Gold. All right. Kim is on a deadline and I have no brain left. Okay. There is just no brain left. It is all in 1907 Grand Canyon. Okay.
Math is way overrated anyways.
Okay. So this is from Bridge of Gold, which came out in June. If you haven't read it yet, please pick up a copy. It's a dual timeline. And I just loved the story. I had so much fun with it. And Baker Bookhouse has it. So make sure you check it out. But 2 questions. Question number 1 from Bridge of Gold. What is Kayla's favorite color? Not my daughter, Kayla, but the Kayla in the book. The Kayla in the book.
I thought they were the same person.
Kind of, sort of. There are things about my daughter Kayla and my son-in-law Stephen that are in the characters Kayla and Stephen in the book. So the people who know us and know them, it's so funny. They'll go, oh. So Becca Whittam, who my wonderful friend who's an author who went with me to the Grand Canyon, we talked about that. Check out her books. Big plug for Becca Whittam. Her son married my daughter, which is just so special. And Becca and I have been, like best friends for, I don't know, Becca, are you still here? Chime in. 10 years, 11 years? How long is it? She added it up. It's been a long time. So it was really fun that our kids got married. But anyway, so they're in the book and there's a story about Stephen and food and the first time he had to buy his own groceries. And that is actually a real story that Becca told me. That's in the book. So now you have to go read it just so you can read about that. Okay, question number 2, because squirrel. Okay. What is found in the skeleton's hands underwater in Bridge of Gold? What is found in the skeleton's hands underwater? So just to plug this book a little bit more, to tell you how this started, when they asked me if I wanted to do a book for this series, the Doors to the Past series by Barber, great series, check out all the different books. The question that started this for me, I was like, okay, so what if they were doing renovations on the Golden Gate Bridge and they found a skeleton or two? And then they found out that they were from two different eras and one of them was murdered. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. That was the inspiration. Okay. Go ahead, Chris. Take it away.
I can't. I'm laughing too hard at you. So one of the things people like to know is, as a reader then, what are you looking forward to reading? Either that has already arrived that, I'm always like, behind anyways on my to be read pile anyways, or something that is coming that you're looking forward to reading.
Oh, goodness.
I didn't ask you your favorite book, so we got safe there.
My to be read shelves. Okay, so I have a huge library of fiction. I have a library and music room downstairs on our main level. And there's tons of books, but those books are all the read ones. I have huge, you can't see them, they're off screen here, but I have huge shelves over here. And I think we counted them. I think they're like 500 books over here that are just my to be read shelves. But some of my favorites, Jamie Jo Wright. Jamie, are you in here? Jamie Jo. I love Jamie Jo. We've been doing word sprints together because we're both on a deadline. Imagine that. And life keeps happening. Imagine that.
Yeah.
So we'll be texting. It's like, okay, here we go. Jamie Jo, I love Karen Whittemire. I love Mary Keneally. I love Tracy Peterson. I'm looking at the ones that are like in my next little stack. Amy Green's newest one. I haven't read that one yet. I'm really looking forward to reading that one.
That'll be a good one.
So gosh, there's so many. And I love a lot of different genres. So I like to read a lot of different authors. And in the Christian world, I mean, they're all my friends. So
true. That's true. You guys,
and they're even more special.
Each other. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I got to ask then, you're right in historical and you've done some contemporary now with your dual times. If you were going to write in a different genre altogether, what would you write?
In a different genre altogether. Is this a trick question because of what I told you we were going to talk about?
No.
Okay.
Because I mean, I asked this of somebody that has written only historical and they said fantasy and I'm like, wait, what? Honestly, I didn't expect her to say it. So it was awesome. So, no, I mean, you could tell me horror, that would probably still stop me down. I don't have an answer for that one. So, but I mean, would you write? Well, and I could even ask, would you write in a different era? I mean, you do a lot. I don't want to say settling of the West because it's not the wagon train sort of story that you write, but would you write, like you want to read Amy's and that's a World War II or Vietnam, or, would you write in a different era like that?
I have several story ideas that are in different eras.
Okay.
When they asked me to write when I was the anchor author for the Daughters of the Mayflower series.
Oh, yep.
I was fascinated. I thought, oh, what a great idea. I was so excited, super excited, and wrote the Mayflower Bride. But then I had to do the research. Talk about brutal. I mean, it was brutal. And I had a diary, the original diary of, is it William Bradford? That was so many books ago. I'm trying to remember my research. And there wasn't common spelling back then. So trying to decipher was just, and then I remember calling Becky at Barber at one point and I said, do you have any idea? I said, you're brilliant and you came up with this great idea, but do you have any idea how hard it is to write an inspirational romance when all these people die. So most of the time, as authors, if we do this historical stuff like I do, I love teaching, history through the story.
Sure.
I love for people to go back and go, oh, I looked this up, because I got so fascinated with it. That's why I put so much information in my, note at the beginning and the note at the end. So people can look up stuff and they can learn. Well, normally, we use a historical time period or an event that's specific, or a person or a location, like a building or something that is interesting, but everything else we get to make up, right? And we normally get to make up the majority of our characters. They're all fictional, and we use a couple of historic people that are real.
Yep.
Well, it was totally opposite when I wrote The Mayflower Bride, because I had to research every single stinking person that was on the ship. And then I made up a couple. I'm not complaining. I'm just telling you, it was really different. And writing in 1620 is completely different than writing in, the 1800s. And phew, so I don't know if I would go back to, I've written a couple of things in the 1600s and they were really tough.
Okay.
But they were also great, and the readers love it. They think it's fabulous, but talk about hard.
Interesting.
It was very hard.
Yeah. And is it because you're very familiar too with that, the time period you normally, because you write around the 19th century, the turn of the century, a little before, a little after, a lot.
Mhm.
So
I
you
do.
get comfortable in that and you know that information.
Right.
Yeah. So,
It's true.
okay.
So
That makes
there
sense.
is a difference. And
Yeah.
things change. They change so much within a 20, 30 period, 30-year period.
True. Yeah.
That there were a lot of, differences and things. And I'm always needing to look up words and make sure that the words are, that those were actually used at that time, or they weren't,
Right.
or, having to look at, I looked up recipes from the 1600s. Oh, good heavens. Don't ever try to make anything out of a cookbook from the 1600s. I'm just telling you right now, it doesn't work. And I love to cook. But just don't even try. I'll just give you that advice right now.
Probably a lot more weird things.
Yeah, but I will say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and say it.
Uh-huh.
There's going to be a really fun announcement coming up on my website and on Facebook, because a lot of my readers know that my first few fiction books were contemporary romantic suspense. There's more coming. Okay, so just hint, hint, be watching. And then of course, Baker Bookhouse will have a sale when they come out. So I need to ask another question.
You do.
Okay. Giveaway, another giveaway. Here we go.
Are we doing these again?
Yes, gift cards. Okay, and Endless Mercy. That is book 2 in the Treasures of Gnome series, and that came out this past January. What instrument does Madison play? What instrument does Madison play? And I'm going to do another giveaway too, because I told you that this little guy needed to have, he needs the spotlight for a minute. Okay, is everybody ready?
We'll give it to him.
So my amazing virtual assistant started a campaign a while ago. And so the hashtag Chickens for Kim has become quite popular on Facebook and on Instagram. And I get wonderful things from readers and messages and posts. People post stuff. This looks like something for you. I mean, there's somebody posted something on my Facebook page, I think today, or it might have been yesterday, and somebody was combing a chicken.
Yes, I saw that.
So one of my readers, Erica, loved the little graphic so much that she crocheted this little guy to look exactly like it. I mean, he is the exact replica of the little guy that is in all of my graphics. So the question, and this is to win a copy of my brand new book, A Deep Divide, and I will send you a copy of this. What is his name? If you're one of my fans, you should know this. What is What is his name?
If you are a true Kimberly Woodhouse fan, you are already typing the answer in.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Oh, Kim, this has been too much fun.
I'm having fun watching you laugh. I don't know if people are thinking this is fun or if they just think I'm ridiculous. So.
I seem to be having fun. The chat room is going crazy. So.
Oh, good.
I don't see any chicken answers yet, though. So I think you might have stumped them.
I might have to go back and see. I mean, he has just recently been named. So
yeah, you made a big deal out of it, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah.
I think I did. I hope I posted that. I think I did.
Or at least you did at home. Yeah.
I think I did. Oh gosh, Becca the
I think
Short.
you did.
Are you on here? She'll
Oh,
tell me.
now we're getting some answers. Now we're getting answers.
Oh, okay. Just blame Becca.
We usually do.
Oh,
Poor
goodness.
Becca.
Oh, gracious. Okay, I have 2 more questions. Here, I can save them for the end. I'll save them for the end. You
Okay.
ask questions.
Yeah, but
You do
about
your-
5-2, we'll do another one. So I was going to
Okay.
ask another question. Somebody likes the idea. Where do you get the ideas for your books? I mean, you talked about, the Grand Canyon one with the Deep Divide years ago. You were thinking about doing a book on the Grand Canyon.
Mm-hmm.
Is that normal, or is it sometimes you're like, wow, I got to write this one? Well, now, where do you get those ideas?
I actually do a creative journal, which is something that I've taught on. And if you look at the writenook.com, which is on my website, there's 150 free lessons, creative writing lessons on there from 4 best-selling authors. And sorry, everything's dinging. I don't know where it's coming from, but it bling, everything's coming.
I don't know what's blinging either, but we'll just move on. It's
okay. Sorry for that. I got distracted. Squirrel. Anyway, so for instance, it can be a conversation that I overhear at a coffee shop that starts thinking, I wonder what people would do, with such and such. Or for instance, Beyond the Silence, which was the second book that Tracy and I wrote together, and that takes place in California. And the topic came up of gossip and how you can actually ruin somebody's life with gossip and slander. And that whole book started with that premise. The Treasures of Nome series started because Tracy and I were doing a big book signing and a fundraiser because of the Heart of Alaska series, if you remember Cassidy, my girl Cassidy, who was killed a few years ago. And so that series is in honor and memory of her. But we were doing a fundraiser, a scholarship fund, when the first book, In the Shadow of Denali, came out. And so 3 of my little music students came to the book signing, and they all knew me really well. And they knew that I wrote books and everything. But since they came to my house every week, I'm normal. I'm just, oh, she's just Kim, right?
Yep.
I'm crazy, but I'm just Kim. But they knew that I wrote with Tracy, but Tracy was like their favorite author. And so when they realized she was coming to town, everybody just went into Tracy Peterson. And so they did this. So they show up at the book signing, Monica and my 3 girls, Whitney, Haven, and Madison. And they show up with this huge crate of books, and they're just so cute. And Tracy goes, okay, somebody's got to write a series about 3 little cinnamon-haired musical sisters. And I said, okay, that's us. We're writing, that's going to be our next series. Wouldn't you know? That's how it started. It started with 3 musical redheaded sisters. So everything starts differently. The Heart of Alaska series started because we were doing research on different locations in Alaska, and Tracy found the historic hotel where it's based. And it's fascinating because it's in the middle of nowhere now, and it's not there anymore. But you can't even get to it by road. The only way to get to it was by the railroad. But at the time, it was the heart of Alaska because it was the halfway point on the railroad. And so it had to stop there. And so it was just fascinating. That was how that started. And Downton Abbey was just a huge thing, for all of us. And so the upstairs, downstairs, all of that was just fascinating. So the ideas come from anything. They can come from chickens. It can come from a person, a a character, a topic, I overhear somebody say something and I go, ooh, that's a good idea.
Remember that when you're talking in a store or restaurant, there's always an author listening.
We are. I have
Yeah.
plenty of shirts that say, anything you say can be used in a book.
Yeah, be
Or,
nice to me or I'll murder you in my next book.
Yeah, I have one that says, do not annoy this best-selling author or she may put you in a book and kill you. So I wear that one when I'm really, on a deadline. It's like, don't mess with me. It's kind of scary when I go to the post office and I'm mailing off, packages of books and the people are like, okay.
Okay, somebody x-ray that box.
Back away from the author. So, okay, sorry.
Nope, that's all right.
I'm sorry. I'm just all over the place.
No, you're great. So you want to do another one?
Okay. For another giveaway, another gift card. What kind of farm is the Bundrant Farm? And this goes through the whole Treasures of Gnome series, but in Forever Hidden, it really talks about the farm. What kind of a farm is the Bundrant Farm? And you have to be specific. What kind of farm?
What kind of farm?
Okay. One more.
One more.
Oh, I lost you. It went crazy. One more. Okay.
Are we back?
So the Heart of Alaska series, which is
Yep.
In the Shadow of Denali, Out of the Ashes, and Under the Midnight Sun. What's the name of the hotel that is the center of the series?
Ooh.
Okay.
Glad I can't win gift cards because I would be wrong on that one. So I'd have to think about that one. So those are great questions.
Oh, good. I had help.
There is nothing wrong with that.
I might have, said, hey, come up with some questions. No.
Where's my assistant? I need some questions.
Yeah. And hopefully I know the answers to them, right?
That is what makes it more interesting, is whether you know the answers or not. I just made this up. There's not really a name to the hotel, so good luck. I'll just pick a winner.
Oh my goodness. Don't forget this little guy. Okay. Hashtag chickens for Kim.
There we go. It's a thing.
It is a thing.
real
It is
thing.
a thing. And yes, I did really have chickens. Yes, every one of my chickens had names. Yes, I talked to my chickens. Yes, I even had a lady come to a book signing. It was this big event, hundreds of women. Okay. And I had this big long line. People are at the book table and I have a lady come up because I had told this sad story about how a critter had gotten in and killed a bunch of my chickens.
Yep.
And she came and she goes, will you take a chicken for a book? And I was like, yeah, sure. I didn't really know what, I had all this stuff going on. I'm signing books. I'm talking to all these people. And wouldn't you know, she came back with a chicken in a box, a live chicken. And Kayla and I had to drive 3.5 hours. She goes, Mom, are we really driving back with a chicken in a box? I said, well, yeah. And I want you to know that was the best chicken I ever had. She was the best. She was like a puppy dog, followed me around, chattered with me. She was just great. And that lady is still my friend.
How fun. The bookstore was a little weirded out by the eggs, but other than that, I'm glad you saw it. If you come to Selfies and Signings Fiction Readers Summit, do not bring a chicken for a book. I can't get that past my boss. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay.
We're just gonna have to have some ground rules here.
Yeah. I don't know. Talk to me in the parking lot. And I'm kidding.
You're gonna be flying home with a chicken on your lap. Okay. Now we're just being silly. So,
Oh, Susan said she could share with me. Oh, Susie.
how nice. Susan's a good person.
She is.
Did you meet? Yeah, you've met Susan.
Yeah.
So glad she could join us. But we do need to get going
Yeah.
here. This has done my heart good, man. This has been a lot of fun. All this good laughter. I mean, that's what this is all about. So sharing
Thank
these
you,
great
Karen.
stories you have and learning things that, about American history. We're like, Didn't know that. So
Yeah.
I like that. So, and now we're all gonna go, you know, and visit the Grand Canyon and stay at the hotel and
Yes.
try not to fall off the cliffs. So,
Yeah, don't fall in.
okay. But no, I do want to go back. I have to admit, I've only been once, and reading this, I was like, I gotta go back, you know, because you only see, you know,
Right.
a little tiny part of it. So,
Right.
but
270 miles long, and just the tourist vistas are like 30 miles.
yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah, my husband, when he was in high school, did a hike in the Grand Canyon.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, his favorite story is where the guy put his hand on the rock and then had to stand there because there was a rattlesnake in there, and they had to figure out how to get him away from the. It's a long story, but anyways, so
Oh my
we didn't
goodness.
hike. Yeah, we only went down a little ways. I'm like, I find a rattlesnake, I'll just be dead. It won't have to bite me. So,
Oh my goodness.
anyways, now you got me going on rabbit trails here. So you're trying to do a nice farewell, and I goofed it all up.
Oh no, it's fun. I love it.
Yes, I am looking forward to book number 2. You said that was coming out in September of this year already. Title?
Right now it's El Tavar book 2.
That's perfect. It's brilliant. I am just
Yes.
so impressed.
I don't know if I can come up with something as good as A Deep Divide, and it has to go together and all of that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's
yeah.
true. That's what editors are for. So they'll come
Yeah,
up with all
hopefully
that
we'll
good
come
stuff.
up with a smash bang up title for it. But that comes out in September, and then book 3 is in January,
Okay.
the following January.
Yes. So September of 2022?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Just want to make sure I had my years right. And everybody else, we've all lost 2020. So it's like, I don't know what year it is anymore.
I know.
Yeah, it's very weird. So, but no, truly, this was great. This was so much fun. I really
Thank
enjoyed it. The laughter was fantastic. Your stories are fantastic. Thank you for sharing them. We love that very much. So, and thank you everybody for tuning in and putting up with us silliness that we had. We're so glad you could enjoy us. Thank you for being so active on the chat. That was a lot of fun. We had some really good questions. So I really appreciate it. And go check out bakerbookhouse.com and look up Kimberly's books and have them sent to your house today. So
Yay.
yay.
Thank you so
Talk
much.
to you again soon. Bye,
Okay.
Kim.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Good night.